Welcome to the Tale of Deception. Share your location and let me know where you're tuning in from. Occasionally, those who are least acquainted with us may possess a deeper understanding than those who claim familiarity. Frequently, the disguises we don for our children's protection lead to the unintentional erosion of the bond we strive to maintain. The instant my daughter cried out, "You're bankrupt and disgraceful," at me during the custody hearing, I witnessed 20 years of affection shatter. Then I did something that irrevocably altered both our lives. My name is Richard, and this narrates the account of how concealing a truth almost resulted in my losing everything, and how disclosing it rescued us both. It all began 3 months ago when my ex-wife Elena petitioned for sole custody of our 17-year-old daughter Natasha. Following our divorce 2 years prior, we had shared joint custody, but Elena had been brainwashing our daughter against me ever since. She fed her mind with tales about how I was impeding them, about how I was stingy, about how I couldn't offer the life she deserved. For 2 decades, I lived frugally, earning around $40,000 annually, and driving an aged Honda Civic with a damaged passenger door. I shopped at discount markets and used coupons. I wore the same trio of suits for work, ensuring they appeared fresh by switching them tactfully to avoid suspicion. Whenever Natasha requested designer attire or costly gadgets, I'd deny our ability to afford it. Similarly, when she sought a larger residence or a more recent vehicle, I'd express caution regarding financial management. However, neither Elena nor Natasha were aware that my financial predicament wasn't real. In fact, my net worth surpassed $52 million. This wealth stemmed from a software patent I'd created in my youth, prior to meeting Elena. I had sold it to a tech firm that eventually grew exponentially, and the revenues were accruing stealthily in unbeknownst accounts. I chose to live humbly not because of necessity, but for reasons undisclosed. I aimed to instill in my daughter an appreciation for hard work and gratitude for what she possessed, and prevent her from becoming arrogant or pampered. In hindsight, perhaps I overdid it. Perhaps a balance was needed. Having grown up with little, I'd witnessed the negative impact of excessive wealth on children. I wanted Natasha to be unique, gracious, humble, diligent. However, in my efforts to shield her from becoming someone I didn't recognize, I may have inadvertently created a daughter who felt ashamed of me. The custody hearing was set for a Tuesday morning at downtown family court. I donned my best, albeit worn, suit and took the bus since my old Honda was being repaired. Elena arrived in her boyfriend's BMW, adorned in clothes likely costing more than my monthly rent. Natasha looked discomforted, preferring elsewhere. The initial part of the hearing transpired as anticipated. In the courtroom, Elena's attorney depicted me as an unstable, financially irresponsible father who couldn't sufficiently support my teenage daughter. They showcased my small apartment, old car, and frugal spending habits to suggest I was struggling to survive. During my turn to defend myself, I attempted to clarify that financial stability wasn't merely about having money. It was about being responsible with it. I discussed the principles I was trying to instill in Natasha, emphasizing the significance of living within one's means and not defining self-worth by material possessions. It was then that Natasha interjected. In a display of emotion in the courtroom, she stood up, her face streaked with tears, and exclaimed, "Stop lying. You're not teaching me values. You're embarrassing me. My friends think you're a failure. Your car is a junk and your apartment is small, and you never buy me anything nice." In a stunned courtroom, you're portrayed as penniless and pathetic, and I can no longer conceal my exasperation about it. Natasha continues, revealing that you make me deceive friends regarding absent vacations or lacking designer apparel. Cheap, self-centered, and disregarding others, you fail to provide the life I'm entitled to. Each word pierces me like a physical pain. This was my child, the one I raised single-handedly for 15 years, the one I cherished above my own survival, belittling me in front of an audience of strangers. The judge awaits my retort, while Elena smirks triumphantly at me. I gazed at Natasha, tears flowing but tinged with fury instead of sorrow, prompting a decision I'd long evaded for 2 decades. From my briefcase, I extracted an untouched envelope I'd prepared as a contingency. I had wished not to use it, dreaded this scenario, yet here we stood, Your Honor. I'd like to present supplementary financial records for the court's perusal. Elena's lawyer appeared puzzled. What further records? We have already scrutinized his tax records and bank statements. Not all of them, I whispered. Stepping towards the bench, I handed the judge the envelope. Inside lay investment account statements, patent royalty reports, property deeds, and asset appraisals that painted a strikingly contrasting portrait of my financial status. The judge unfolded the envelope and began reading. His brows ascended, then climbed higher. Finally, he peered over his glasses at me and stated, "Sir, these documents appear to significantly alter your reported financial standing." "Peterson, are these documents genuine?" "Indeed, Your Honor," I affirmed this morning after consulting my accountant and lawyer. "And you're stating your actual net worth as," I looked back at the papers, $52,300,000. There was an eerie silence. The courtroom saw Natasha's countenance shift from irate to bewildered, then completely white. Elena's jaw dropped. Her attorney seemed momentarily stunned by a hypothetical nullification of gravity. "That's accurate, Your Honor," I added. "I've been intentionally living frugally, not out of need but choice. I wanted my daughter to understand the worth of labor and fiscal prudence before she got wind of our family's riches." The judge laid down the papers and faced Natasha. "Lady, were you aware of your father's financial standing?" Natasha remained silent, visibly shaken. "How do you feel now, learning that your father lived simply not out of necessity, but as a means to instill valuable lessons?" Upon hearing this, Natasha cried once more, but this time it was different. It was a mix of shame, regret, and a sudden realization of her mistake. Elena spoke up first. "Why didn't you tell us? Why did you make us believe that you were struggling?" I glanced at both women before addressing the judge again. "I wished for my daughter to respect wealth, not idolize it. I wanted her to value what she had and not take it for granted. I wanted her to be someone who worked hard for her desires instead of expecting them to be given." Turning directly to Natasha, I admitted, "I failed in my attempt. Though my intentions were noble, the rest of the proceedings became a blur." The judge denied Elena's request for full custody and even expanded my visitation rights, asserting that a parent who emphasizes moral lessons over material comforts is ideal for a teenage child. However, the legal triumph felt empty. The harm had been inflicted. My bond with my daughter was shattered, perhaps irreparably, following the court hearing. In the corridor, Natasha confronted me, her face streaked with tears and unable to look at me. "Dad," she murmured, "I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I thought you were just stingy and worthless." I completed her sentence, causing her to wince. "I was furious. Mom has been telling me stories and I trusted them. I thought you didn't value my well-being." I sighed, feeling more aged than my 43 years. "I care about providing you with a fulfilling life, Natasha, but my definition of good life differs from your mother's. I prioritized character and values over comfort and material possessions, which is something you could have informed me about," she remarked. "You could have clarified, couldn't you?" she said. "You find yourself upset not because I deceived you, but because you insulted me when I was secretly wealthy. What does this imply about your values?" After a prolonged silence, she stated, "This reveals that I was correct in my concerns." We stood there in the courthouse hallway for what seemed like an eternity, two individuals who loved each other yet had somehow become strangers. "So what's next?" she inquired eventually. "Now we determine if we can rebuild this relationship on a bedrock of honesty rather than deception," I replied. "However, that necessitates a choice on your part. You must decide whether you value wealth above all else, or recognize that the most valuable aspects of life cannot be bought." For 2 weeks now, that court day lingers. More frequently, Natasha visits and our talks stretch into complex discussions on money, ethics, family, and life's significance. She's immersed herself in volunteering at a nearby food bank, seeking insight into genuine struggle. Additionally, she's been probing about my business, finance, and ethical wealth creation. Last night, something unexpected cropped up. "Dad, when I turn 18, will you teach me your money management skills? Not just accumulation, but appreciation as well. It seems I didn't fail utterly after all." The harsh truth is that hiding my wealth nearly shattered my bond with my daughter, yet revealing it during court, watching her comprehend her misconceptions about me, might have been the healing we required. Times, the most painful lessons hold the deepest wisdom. Times, love entails allowing someone dear to face the outcomes of their decisions, however painful those consequences may be. I'm unsure if Natasha and I will rekindle our previous relationship. Yet I am optimistic that the connection we are cultivating, centered on honesty, reciprocal respect, and common values, could prove to be more robust. Indeed, the most precious aspects of life aren't those stored in a bank account. They are the ones kept within your heart, and they outweigh any amount of $52 million.